Love sharing this content with you all. And let me share my slides so we can get started. We are going to power through a lot of content today, so bear with me. Let me start by saying that I took the survey the first time probably about 11 years ago. And after I took the survey, I had a lot of questions when I saw my results. What do my results mean? What do they say about me? What happens next? How do I take this forward? And since then, I've worked with probably thousands of people that have had similar kinds of questions. Presumably you do too, which is probably why you're here. Today, we will answer that question, what comes next after taking the survey, and we'll be using VIA's Aware, Explore, Apply model as a guide. In addition, I'll offer a number of practices that you can try and also some tips for success. So in 30 minutes, we're going to build a bridge between taking the survey, seeing your results, and really unleashing the power of your character strengths. Starting with VIA's Aware, Explore, Apply model. What is this model? Well, in short, it's a framework for developing your character strengths, where you first become aware of your strengths, and then you think about how you express them, how they manifest in different parts of your life, personal and professional settings. And then we apply them in these different settings to achieve positive outcomes, strengthening relationships, feeling more engaged, improving performance, and so on. Now, if you've taken the survey, congratulations, you're already in the awareness stage. Some of you may have even dabbled in the explore and apply areas. And then if you work with other people, clients, employees, students, you may already be sharing some of this, either knowingly or unknowingly, with the people that you work with. So wherever you are on this journey, I want you to know that we will go a little bit deeper into this model. You can find more information about the Aware, Explore, Apply model. There's a note down here in the lower right about a wonderful resource called Character Strengths Interventions. This is a book authored by Dr. Ryan Nemec. Dr. Ryan Nemec, who is the director of VIA's science and education programs. A masterful resource. If you can, I highly recommend that you check it out. And here's some information about it. Let's dive into each part of the model, starting, of course, with awareness. Now, in a nutshell, awareness is about taking the survey, but it also has some other components to it, such as understanding your own profile and noticing any blind spots or biases that you might have, not only in your own results, but also in specific strengths potentially. It could also be about understanding the different dimensions of each of the strengths. All 24 have different layers to them. For instance, creativity. Of course, we all know of creativity as the sort of artistic version of creativity, the artists, the musicians, the architects, and so on. And we call that sort of a big C creativity. But there's also little c creativity, which is important to the character strengths. And this has to do with bringing originality into the day, into your work, into your life, or connecting the dots in interesting ways, or this problem solving in unique ways. So each strength has these different layers to them. And finally, awareness is about seeing strengths in action. So spending some time on this awareness part of the model is really important. It helps us not only increase our awareness of our own strengths, but also learn the language of strengths. This is sort of like learning a foreign language where the first thing that you do is learn the vocabulary. And I think that's what we're practicing when we're developing in the awareness. We're developing that vocabulary of character strengths. So I'd like to next share 4 short activities that can help boost awareness. First, quite simply, take the survey. It seems intuitive, but some of you may not have taken the survey, or if you're working with others, may not have offered it. It takes about 10 minutes to complete. When you're finished, you'll receive a download of your results, like this example of Sarah's beautiful constellation of, there's a portion of her strengths profile here. We call this the strengths profile or survey results. It's a ranked list of 1 through 24 with the descriptions. And these results are free. They're downloadable, they're printable, and you can also access them anytime online through the account that you registered for. So highly encourage you, if you haven't, to take the survey, offer it to your friends, family, your clients, and so on. Second activity is to begin understanding your results. So I'm going to share, using the character strength perspective here, kind of a big picture of this part of our Total 24 report, which is VIA's most comprehensive report. It's a wonderful resource. I use it with virtually every client, and it is fee-based, just so you know, there is a fee that comes along with it. But on this page, page 4, this offers your ranked list, your ranked profile as well, but it adds the raw scores, which I think is a really useful thing to have. Your free results do not have the raw scores. The Total 24 on this page, page 4, does list the raw scores. How are these important? Well, they're handy to have when to see when there are ties. So for instance, this person has 4 strengths that are tied for third: kindness, judgment, forgiveness, and leadership. So handy to see ties. With the raw scores, you can see whether there are material shifts if you've taken the survey previously. You can see how the numbers have shifted around a little bit. Sometimes we think, oh, this strength jumped down, jumped down to here, but the differences might not really be that material. So having those raw scores is really helpful. And then it's just really great food for thought and food for reflection to have, know how we endorsed our strengths, whether, very much like ourselves or whether neutral, like in this case. Now, we can also think of breaking down the survey results into 3 different groupings. The top strengths are signature strengths. These are the strengths that are usually the top 5. In this case, there might be 6 signature strengths. These are the strengths that are so core to who we are, especially when we're at our best. And they're part of our positive personality. In addition, we use them very naturally across all of the settings in our lives, so they're kind of effortless. And then these signature strengths are really energizing for us. They give us energy. They help us feel engaged and motivated. So when you think of signature strengths, these top strengths, you can think of them or be reminded of them by using the 3 E's, that they're essential, effortless, and energizing. Next are the middle strengths. These are the, between the middle or the upper and lower strengths. These are considered supportive strengths, and they're there for us when we need them. So for instance, this person has perseverance here in the middle. When you're trying to push through those difficult or sort of scary things that we have to all push through, perseverance can help us. Or curiosity, when we're trying to sort of understand or clarify something, asking those questions. They're there for us when we need them. They're supportive. And then at the lower end are lesser strengths. And no, these are not weaknesses. A lot of people that I work with, and myself too, when I first took the survey, when I saw my results, I jumped right down to the bottom and said, oh yeah, these are my weaknesses. I don't have self-regulation, for instance. But we all have all 24 strengths. These are not weaknesses. The ones at the bottom, however, they may require a little bit more effort. You might not notice them as well. You may not even engage them as often or as easily in the different settings in your lives. So they might need to be used a little bit more deliberately, but rest assured that they are all strengths and they can be developed. So just one other thing I want to say about your profile, it truly makes you unique. If you think about it mathematically, all the combinations of strengths that you can have in your profile, It's almost mathematically impossible to have the same profile as any other person on the planet. What, 7.5, 8 billion people? This makes you truly unique. And I just find this stunning and astonishing. It really gets me so excited about character strengths, as you can tell probably. Okay, let's move on to our third activity to boost awareness. Again, coming from the Total 24 report, which is again VIA's most comprehensive report. And I'm referring to page 5, and this refers to taking some time to reflect on your survey results. And if you look down into the circled area in the lower right, reflecting on your reactions to results. So were you surprised? Were you confused? Were you disappointed? What were your reactions? How did you respond to, even if a strength didn't land, how might that strength be true for you in different circumstances? So why is it important to do this type of reflection? Well, let me share the answer with a quick example. When I took the survey, humor was my #1 strength, and leadership was probably somewhere around 16. I felt really disappointed by this. At the time, I didn't even see how humor was a strength. It didn't make sense to me. And then I felt like leadership was sort of a should, like it should be higher based on the roles that I had in organizations and so on. I felt like, it should just be higher. But by using this model, I became more aware, I explored, I applied. I actually did a 30-day humor challenge where I spent 5 minutes. I carved out 5 minutes every day, and I did awareness or exploration or application activities for 30 days in a row. Sometimes I spent more than 5 minutes. It was so fun. And one of the things that I discovered was that humor is like air for me. I need it to survive. I need a little bit of humor and playfulness, of fun in every single day, no matter how difficult things are. I have to feel like myself, to feel like a human being. I need humor. So you have your own, reactions and things, but you can discover more. You can go deeper and develop insights that are so key for who you are, especially when at your best. Now, this reflection, I think, is important not to just gloss over, because through this, we accept who we are, and we become really adept at embodying these strengths within ourselves. Really important. And if you're working with other people, this is great conversation to have. It generates so many wonderful insights in your clients, and it builds such a wonderful rapport with your clients. So use this section, try not to gloss over it. And then one final activity for boosting awareness, which is called strength spotting. This is a foundational practice, I believe, and it's a simple practice of noticing strengths in action, your own and other people's. Why do I think this is foundational? Well, because when we see each other's strengths, when we acknowledge and value them, we feel valued for who we are. Right? This is about who we are, and not somebody that another person expects us to be, or not somebody we feel like we should be, but who we already are, who we already are. And this helps us to really live into our best, to really elevate and appreciate these best qualities in ourselves. We might say, well, yeah, but in my case, yeah, but humor, that's not really a strength. Yes, it is a strength. I can use humor in, to break the ice in group settings. I try to sprinkle in a little bit of humor in my webinars. You might be able to tell I love to have fun with this topic, with this content. And so it reflects who I am. Your strengths reflect who you are in unique and special ways. So, yeah, I think right now I'd like to take down the slide. Oh, let me go through the way to do this. The C model of strength spotting, very simple. To strength spot someone, you simply spot the strength, you name it, what you see in action. And then you explain it. So you provide some details about what you saw, what you heard, describe it, and then you appreciate it. Why did you call this out? Why did you value it? Why is this important to you? So we're going to do a live demonstration of strength spotting right now. And Sarah, is it okay if I do a little strength spotting of you?
Yes, yes. Love that.
I love it. So one of Sarah's signature strengths is appreciation of beauty and excellence. And Sarah, I want to tell you that I created a draft of the slides for this presentation, and then I asked Sarah to take them and, judge them. And she took these slides and just blew me away. The way she elevated her appreciation of excellence and appreciation of beauty. These slides just, for me, made the whole presentation come alive. And I hope for you as well. And so, Sarah, your appreciation of beauty and excellence it was off the charts in what you did. I asked you to judge, but you just like took this and took it to a whole new level. So I really appreciate how you have taken this and elevated it.
Thank you, Jane. I'm sure if you can see me, I'm smiling ear to ear, taking kind of an ordinary, work task and kind of bringing it to life by recognizing a strength within it. And so, thank you. I feel like I'll regurgitate this to my partner later, like, hey, notice my appreciation of beauty and appreciation. So, yeah, thank you, Jane.
You're welcome. So you can see this is different from saying thank you or job well done. This is going to the heart of who the person is. It feels differently. It feels really authentic and we feel seen for who we are typically. Another quick way to practice strength spotting is to simply set an alert on your phone. And when the alert goes off, just pause whatever you're doing and ask yourself, what strength was I just using? What strength was I just using? And then going on with your day. And you can offer this to the people that you're working with as well, just a simple way of spotting strengths in action. So let me come back to the slides. We're going to push through here and move on to the exploration part of the model. Now, exploration is about how I express these, how I have, manifested these strengths in the past, typically. And so we're reflecting on past uses. We're considering how strengths have described us, how they've shaped us, and thinking about how character strengths, how we've used them successfully in times of adversity and opportunity. So this is about going inward and exploring sort of how we express these strengths. And I'd like to share two activities with you. The first one being this one. I'm going to spend a few minutes on this. Um, Again, from our Total 24 report, this is page 31. And I highlight this because this is a really important concept that gets a lot of attention. Now, none of us is able to optimally use our character strengths 100% of the time. Not me, not you. We can use too much or too little of a strength based on the situation at hand. And this can cause problems in relationships and other negative outcomes. For instance, too much humor at the wrong time can offend or insult other people. We've probably all experienced this. And too little curiosity on a first date, for instance, might imply the person isn't interested, right? Now, overuse can often stem from our signature strengths, believe it or not. We use them so naturally that we're often not aware that they slide into overdrive. We're not aware of this, so we don't realize, but it can lead to overuse of signature strengths, so something to watch for. Now we strive for balanced use, and this grid gives a short description of the optimal over and underuse for each of the 24 strengths. In your Total 24 report, this worksheet or this page lists your strengths in your ranked order. So actually this is a part of my profile with humor at the top And you can see leadership down here, probably 16, 17, 18, something like that. So your total 24 report will have your ranked list. And I'd like to share an example of examining a problem or reframing a problem through a strengths-based lens using this tool. So real quickly, I'll set up the situation. Working with a coaching client now, and someone from my coaching client's project team, not my client, but someone else, was giving a status update in a meeting, and they overstated the amount of progress that was taking place in the project. My client stayed silent through this meeting, even though this kind of put pressure on them to be further ahead than they were. And they got that sort of icky, inner dissonance feeling, that feeling of conflict inside that we get when we think we should be doing something that we're not. And this feeling lingered. So they brought the situation to coaching. We talked about it a little bit. I pulled out this worksheet, and they immediately started to kick into looking at over and underuse. And they decided that in that moment, they underused honesty and bravery by not standing up, not explaining what the real status was at the time. And they decided to correct it at the next meeting. So as far as fixing this or problem solving this, they decided to raise their bravery and honesty and do the correction at the next team meeting, but also they decided to elevate social intelligence. And the way they wanted to do that was to go to the person who gave this update and talk to them, raise their curiosity, ask them questions. Why did you position it this way? Are you aware of this, that, or the other thing? And really just talk it through for understanding and clarification. And so it all worked out beautifully, long story short. This approach gave them a framework for examining the problem, reframing it, and then taking it forward in a strength-based way. Really important. I share this with clients when they feel frustrated, and you can use this when you're frustrated as well, wherever you are. When you feel frustrated, when there's conflict, often the source of frustration can be grounded in over and underuse of strengths. Not always, but often it's just a wonderful tool. Yeah, period. So I wanted to say that about this tool. Also for other exploration questions, I'm not going to go over this now, but in the Total 24 report in section 1, there are quite a few reflection questions that are wonderful questions, prompts to help you explore your strengths, especially your signature strengths. All right. Let's move into application. Of course, this is about putting them into practice and creating those outcomes that we're all really excited about. Now, I want to, so this may involve reflecting on a step that you'd like to take, but probably more often actually involves putting a strength into practice, experimenting, trying something new. In my experience, most people like to, after they've taken their survey and see their results, they want to go right to application, right? We want to get to it. We want to start seeing those positive outcomes. I encourage you not to skip over aware and explore, because those areas give us a lot of insights that can then inform how we apply. Of course, applications sort of where the rubber meets the road. We can't just think our way to new outcomes. We can change our behaviors. And this is one way we can do it, by applying our strengths in more deliberately, in new ways, and so on. So if you're working with others, this application part can be so engaging, such an engaging part of the work, to be able to witness the new, the growth, the insights, the confidence, and so on in your clients. But also, if you're not working with others, just within yourself, to be able to feel that, these qualities really blooming within yourself is just such a wonderful feeling. And I'll share 2 activities for boosting the applied portion of the model. First is turning your signature strengths into action. If you remember the 3 E's of signature strengths, they're essential, they're effortless, and energizing. And on page 18 of your Total 24 report, there is this page with your signature strengths, your top signature strengths, and an activity that you can try to engage that strength. So for instance, this person's signature strengths start with spirituality and so on. And let's say they want to cultivate love of learning, and the activity says during a break, set aside 5 to 10 minutes to research something and then share that learning with others. Or if you want to boost humor, keep a humor diary at work and write down 3 funny things each day. So notice that these aren't huge, these aren't big projects. This is 5, 10 minutes a day that you can use. And the Total 24 report is a great resource for you. Also, the Character Strengths Interventions book that I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to show you mine. You can see it's pretty well used. This book also has, each strength has a number of activities that you can do. And there's a third book, The Power of Character Strengths, again, pretty well used. This book goes into great depth on all 24 strengths, the what, why, and how of each one. And the how portion offers a number of different activities that you can do to boost the application of that strength. So lots of great resources for that. And then finally, and then we'll wrap up and take some questions, because I can't wait to interact with you. Aligning your strengths with your everyday tasks. This is a simple activity that you can try. So I've just given a couple examples for demonstration. If you work outside the home, or if you work outside the home, we do all sorts of tasks. Here are a couple right here: scheduling meetings, you might have difficult conversations. And let's say you're scheduling a meeting with your manager, and one of your signature strengths is appreciation of beauty and excellence. Well, you might take that meeting outside for a walk and talk rather than doing the standard sit-down meeting in a conference room, right? Plugging into nature, getting into the fresh air, the feeling that sense of being outside, that feeling that you get when you're just out walking or being in nature. So that's one easy way to boost that signature strength. Or let's say you are setting this up with your manager, and your signature strength is gratitude. Take a few minutes to really appreciate the things that you like about them. What do you feel grateful about this person for? It can really shape the way you show up for meetings, the way you show up for calls or difficult conversations. Couple tasks that you do at home. We spend time with loved ones, right? We do chores at home. And let's say your signature strength is creativity. And you've carved out some time with your grandchild or with a spouse or friend. Bring that creativity into what you're planning to do together. Bring some, what is an activity that might be original? X throwing, for instance, is a thing these days. Or, maybe scrapbooking. What would be, what's a creative way that you can spend that time together? Or if you're completing chores and you're high in perseverance, set a timer and just power through those chores, as many as you can get done in 10 minutes. Or if you're low in perseverance, set that timer and power through those chores, as many as you can do in 10 minutes, right? So really, whether they're signature or not, using these strengths to align with the simple everyday tasks that we do at work and at home. And notice again, these are moments that we're creating throughout the day. These are not big initiatives or projects that we're trying to set up. They're not overwhelming. It's aligning these strengths that we have with the things that we do every day, and doing this deliberately. Okay, so to wrap up this content, I want to give you a few tips for success. And the first is that This approach is not linear. In other words, you don't have to go from aware to explore to apply. Where are you at this very moment? What would be helpful to develop the vocabulary or more insights into your own profile, your own strengths, to understand how you've been successful with using these in the past, or to try something new? Where are you right now? What would be helpful? The second thing is to, again, engage all three steps. Please don't gloss over aware and explore. You can take small, meaningful actions rather than just reflecting on them. So again, they don't have to be huge projects. You can think about them. You can also take small actions. You can work towards a daily strength habit. Try spending 5 minutes a day on a strength, using it in a new way each day, or rotate the strengths, or just carve out a few minutes each day to think about how you use these strengths. Again, using your Total 24 as a resource to help you. And then I suggest trying these activities yourself before offering them to other people. I just find that for me, this makes the offering feel very authentic. I can share my own experiences as well as experiences of other people. I think that clients appreciate that. Huh. Okay, I'm so glad to be. I feel like I'm tired of hearing myself talk. Sarah, this concludes our content for today. Would you like to share about the bonus?
Yes, yes. So,
Oops. Wait, I'm sorry. Let me put my slides back up.
all good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So, before I get into this, I just want to say, wow, so much engagement in the chat. It was exciting to see people comment back and forth with each other. And just before we get into Q&A, we wanted to offer 15% off of any order over $45. But specifically, this is perfect opportunity to get your Total 24 report and run through the slide recordings, do some personal development and learning. And so using what comes next 15 at checkout, you can have the opportunity to get this. And then I also saw some people in the chat talking about how they already had their Total 24 report and they reviewed some of the questions in it. So this also is available for any course or other opportunity over $45 on our website. So QR code will 24 if you have your phone near you. And then on the right is an example of some of the richer activities that are included in the report.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's full of insights, reflections, science, how other people perceive you, just so many different dimensions and perspectives of these strengths. It's a great opportunity to give it a try if you haven't, or go deeper if you already have it. Okay, Sarah, should we take some questions?
Yes, would love to take some questions. So I tracked a few in the chat as we were talking. So I'm just pulling up my list here. Okay, so I like this one. This is an easy one to get us started. So I love this comment. People go through different seasons of life, and given that strengths change over time, how often should someone retest to see what their strengths are?
Yeah, that's a great insight and a great question. Very common. I recommend that you take the survey every 1 to 1.5 or 2 years. Now, having said that, when was the last time I took mine? It's probably been 2 years. But life circumstances can and do change and can affect the results a little bit. You won't see your signature and lower strengths swapping places, for instance, but they can shift around. And that can be due to life circumstances and experiences. So I would say every 1 to 2 years.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll just say candidly, I just retook the survey after about a year and a half, and my top 5 essentially stayed the same, but they shifted around.
Yeah.
Kind of funny to see. Um, Okay, so let's get into another one. Is it best to focus on the strengths that fall into the very much like me to neutral range in order to strengthen them, or focus on the very much like me strengths so that self and others can strongly benefit? And I think what that means is, should I focus on the ones, my signature strengths? Should I focus on my lesser strengths? What's the balance?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me start by saying all 24 can be developed. So we can practice them and we can use them more and more effectively. You know, I've been at this for a long time and I'm still finding new ways to engage my signature strengths. There are like limitless situations that we face, and they all sort of require different strengths, and they might require different strengths from different parts of our profile. Let me also say that in general, um, using your signature strengths is almost always a great strategy. There's so much good research around the application of signature strengths in new ways in personal, professional settings, at work, at home, in volunteer, on teams, when you're working by yourself, etc. um, that it's almost always a great strategy. But then at the same time, if you're low in self-regulation or humility or prudence, there are times when those strengths are needed, right? We need to elevate prudence sometimes to help temper our reactions, or to help us to plan or be more thoughtful about doing something, or planning something out for the future. So this is sort of a yes and kind of situation, and also it depends kind of situation. But I hope I answered that question.
Jane, I think that was a great answer, and also energizing to know that at any point we could use one more, and it becomes more naturally to us after that. Okay, I saw more good questions, so I'm getting distracted. Um, there are so many different definitions of strengths. What would you say is the industry standard, or maybe what is your standard for a definition of strengths?
Well, yes, there are a lot of different kinds of strengths. So I have two answers. There are a lot of different kinds of strengths. There are talents. These are the things that we're naturally good at. There are interests. These are the things that we're sort of passionate about. We have skills, right? These are things that can be developed. These could all be considered sort of strengths resources. And then we have character strengths. Personally, I consider myself a character strengths purist. I use character strengths when I refer to strengths because when I first learned about them, again, about 11 years ago, I found, first of all, it's a scientifically validated framework. So this is all science-based. It's all free and available to the world to use. It's based on a study, a 3-year study, where 55 plus scientists went all over the world and they talked to people in all parts of the world. They looked across religions, across time, and they came up with these 24. So for me, this is sort of an epic framework. It's just groundbreaking to me. And so I use character strengths. Um, Industry standard, I know in organizations, they tend to use Gallup strengths, which are, they define as talents that can then be practiced and developed into sort of near perfect performance. So it's a little bit different when you think about Gallup strengths, tend to focus on in organizations. Character strengths are who you are. These apply in all settings, at work, at home, on a team, in your family. So yeah, period. I guess I'll just stop there.
Got it. Okay, so it is 12:45, but I have one more question that I think is important. And so I'd love to hear what you think about this. How might the VIA Character Strength Survey be used to support the employability of university students or help them find professional development opportunities? And I think just a great question around strength-based approach at the college level or the university level.
Yeah. So I'll first say that character strengths aren't meant to be used for career advice to establish a career, but um, and this is true for students, but also for adults, especially who are looking for positions, or even anyone who has to, when you go not networking, when you're networking with people and you want to explain who you are and show yourself in a positive light, your character strengths. I found in a workshop that I gave that one of my workshop participants, after going through 6 weeks of developing her signature strengths, she was looking for work, and she said, I finally have a way of answering that question, what are your strengths? And she honed in on her signature strengths, and she could give examples that aligned with the position that she was interviewing for. And so I think that's a really great way for people to start thinking about their character strengths, whether they're students or, depending on the situation, to really hone in on especially your signature strengths, and to be able to offer examples. This is it's so different from sharing like a performance-based strength, where there are different views of what performance is and so on. And this is about who you are and how you are. And the confidence, the authenticity comes through the examples, and sharing it is especially, it needs to align with the position, right? The requirements of the position, or what they're looking for, or what the situation is calling for, right? So I would say that's probably the most common and popular way to use character strengths for that purpose.
That's such a great answer. And I think it could be used in so many conversations across the board of just coming back to your strengths.
Absolutely. And if I could just share real quickly, one person that I was working with, they were going to be applying for a new job, and we were honing in. Now, this is a 30, 40 years of experience. So I was a little nervous about talking to this person. I'm like, what can I tell you that, you don't already know? But we were going into their signature strengths, and perspective was one of them. And they said, oh my gosh, we were honing in on that strength and doing some of these reflection questions. And they said, I am a trusted advisor. And I don't think, and like you could tell, it just sunk into the body. It really landed. She felt this and knew that she's a trusted advisor. She said, I don't think I've used those words anywhere in my cover letter or my resume. And so, tying these things into what we're doing.
That's an amazing story. And just the gift of getting to know yourself and then being able to communicate it. And I think strengths help us do that and give us that pathway. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so everyone, we're 5 minutes over. We could probably go on and on and on, but we'll call it a day. We hope that you guys enjoyed yourself, and we'll be following up via email with a recording and also that discount code. So look out for that and stay connected with us online. We're happy to have you all here in our community, and we hope that we'll see you again soon.
Thank you all. It's been wonderful being here with you today. Enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend. Bye-bye.